Hi, I'm Gloria Perez-Stewart, an attorney here in Los Angeles, California. The information that I have for you is specific to California, but the tool that I have here to track your child's progress during distance learning can be used for any school district. So for those of you in California, take a deep breath. I mean, we've had fires, earthquakes, not very many earthquakes, but we have had them. Rolling blackouts due to excessive heat waves and so on. And now school has begun. My son is doing mindfulness exercises with his with his adaptive skills trainer. And I find myself walking by and stopping and doing the affirmations with them and the deep breathing exercises because I think we all need that right now. So if you're confused about everything that's been happening, you're not the only one. Everyone is confused. And when I tell you everyone, I mean everyone from administrators to lawyers to, it's everyone. So you're not alone. Now, a few things. We have watched over the last few months since March, since this pandemic began, as the Department of Education has stated that the federal IDEA timelines have not been waived, right? However, they have sort of indicated that states will be given flexibility. And that's important to remember. Now, the California Department California Department of Education here has further told us that school districts must create access to instruction for students with disabilities, and they also said that services were not equal, meaning that school districts may need to provide certain supports and services to students with extensive support needs in order to maintain their mental health and physical safety. Mental health and physical, yes. A few things, though, that you need to know. The IEP that was in effect at the time of the physical school closure does remain in effect for your child. School districts are supposed to, according to the California Department of Education, continue to provide those services called for in those IEPs in alternative manners. California Department of Education has also stated that there may be instances when amending the IEP to reflect the change to distance learning might be necessary. And here in California, you can do that by an IEP meeting always, of course, but also you can propose an IEP written amendment, and you can do that for the distance learning piece. A distance learning plan is an extension and a revision of an IEP which addresses the location and method of delivery of related services and education during distance learning associated with COVID for students who had an existing IEP here in California. So let me move on. So essential workers were defined in California Executive Order N3320. Why am I bringing that up? Well, because it does include some workers who may be working with your child. For instance, the executive order mentioned that healthcare providers and caregivers are considered essential workers, as well as behavioral health workers, including ABA and mental health workers, among others. Finally, just to add to all of the sources of confusion, California also had two Senate bills that addressed the pandemic. One of them, SB 117, extended the California special education timelines, but you need to remember that, again, as I stated at the very beginning, this did not extend the federal IDEA timelines. Now, how does this all fit in terms of what your child is doing, what's going on for your child in compensatory education? Well, the bottom line is there's no new source of educational rights or entitlements right now due to COVID. There's nothing new. There are delays and denials. This is happening across the country. If you have a moment, I highly suggest you look up National Allies of Parents in Special Education. Look up their Facebook page. I was lucky enough to be invited to be part of their group of advocates for a 7-hour. I wasn't there for the whole 7 hours, but for a 7-hour national town hall on special education, the state of special education, and what's going on right now in this country. Take a look at it. You'll find some really interesting things in there. But the bottom line is there are delays and denials all across the country. You need to know your child's rights have not been lost. That's been clarified by the Department of Education here in California. It's also been clarified by the California Department of Education. But even though those timelines, federal timelines, are intact, that they've also stated that compliance is not going to be monitored strictly, meaning states are going to be given a lot of leeway. What does that mean for you practically today? You have to keep records. You have to today, right now. as in I turn off this video and start a record of what happened to your child today during their session, during their remote sessions. You have to show how distance learning is or is not working for your child. And I have the log below in the comments. Should be in the comments for you to download. The bottom line, though, with regard to these records that I'm asking you to keep, is that once regular school sessions resume, IEP teams, according to the California Department of Education, should make individualized determinations regarding whether or not compensatory education is needed. So you've got to start the record keeping now. And that can be a little bit more extensive. If you want more information on that, you should contact an attorney or advocate in your area. So this record log is for you to log those services that your child is getting, or as the case may be, is not getting, how they're getting them, their responses to distance learning, etc. It'll help you determine if you need to lay back, if you need to call an IEP meeting, if you need to call an attorney or an advocate. You know, I firmly believe that we have to do all of those things at some point when it comes to having a child with disabilities in the public school system. That's just the nature of public school in this country at this time. As always, if you need any specific legal advice, feel free to contact me, GPS Law, GPS like the navigation system, gpslaw.net, to schedule an immediate appointment with my office. And please stay safe out there.